Doing an outdoor structure, we need to look at what material we're going to cover. We're going to cover this window, this window, this window, or we're just going to cover these two right here. Either way doesn't matter. We just need to make sure we have a photograph of the item and proper measurements. So we're going to start off with our measurements. When measuring a window, we want to go from inside to inside. We're sitting at 30 3/4 of an inch. Details on something like this are very important. We'll want to point out this right here. Okay, we want to measure to here, not to here. Okay. We'll measure from the bottom to the top, getting exact measurements. If you're in an older building, you'll have to measure both sides, top to bottom. Reason being is your older buildings, the frames will be adjusted slightly because of the age of the building. We want to measure both doors. Don't assume that they're exactly the same size. You may want to take into account your handle for the image itself. And provide a vague measurement for the handle itself. And then how far out the handle sticks, how far out from here to here the handle sticks. We go up top. We'll notice up top that we have a small piece of frame right here. And then we have our frame up here. We're going to measure from here down to here. And we're at 30, let's say 31 to be on the safe side. Now on this window, you'll notice we have a fairly thick piece of framing inside the window. But you can always have it a little bit bigger. That way when you cut it out, you have plenty of material. So we're going to measure from here to the inside of the other side. Now that we have our measurements, we want to take into account other items. We have our weapons card. We have our USAREC Form 810, which is our emergency notification card. And in some buildings, may even have address numbers across the top here. Those are items that, when you take your photograph, if you close up on those and provide extra photos, you'll be able to add those into your artwork. We'll be able to add a cutout for your emergency notification card, and then we can just add the address and this information right into the window product. A lot of times we measure a full area. From door to door, we may want to use a continuous image to go all the way across. If we're going to use a continuous image, we need to measure the width of the frame to minus it from the image itself. So we'll start at top, and we'll measure, and we're at 5 1/4. We're 5 1/4 on our measurements. We still want to come down and measure other points. So we'll come here and measure again. We're 5 1/4 and 5 1/4 down here. It's very important to measure these frames when using a continuous image. When preparing our windows, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to want to clean the windows. A simple spray bottle with some isopropyl alcohol inside and some wipes. cleaner our window is, the better the material will stick to it. For a larger material like this, we're going to use 2 people for it. We have our materials laid out. We're going to begin just like we did with the vehicles. The surface you lay your material on also needs to be clean. Reason being is, if it's not clean, it'll get on your perforated material. When you peel it apart, what's on here will roll into your adhesive. Being that we have a larger piece of material, you see we pulled back our flap just a little bit further. It's a lot easier to handle when we get it up on the window. We take our razor blade, lay it flat on the material. Again, with the vehicles, we're going to want to lay it out, figure out where our material is going to go. This picture right here is just an example of what will be put on the window. So, hold up top. Being that I'm a taller person, I have her hold my material. I'll line it up. Now the image that we send you is going to be fit about a 1/4 inch on the outside of your frame. It's not going to have so much excess like this right here. Again, this is just an example piece. Just like the vehicle, we got it stuck on the window. We want to make sure that our image is where we want it to be on the frame. Bottom, left, right, and top. Once we're happy with where our image is laying out, which also you want to look at your can to make sure your can is correct. You may want to step back, look at your image. Once it's on the window, it's on the window. It don't want to come on. So, we start at the top in the center. We lay out our material. We grab our material back here in the back. And with the larger pieces, it's a little tougher to lift it up. So we just grab it and pull it back. And using 2 people for this method is much easier. Start at the center. I work my way out this side, while my assistant Tammy works her way that side. Then we just continue to roll the material down. Let's say here we have a very small bubble. This right here will just push out with your tool. But if it's too large or if it's starting to develop a crease in it, again, we can simply grab the material, we can pull it back, and we can push our wrinkle out. They also notice she's got her side almost all the way done when we run into our handle right here. So, with this already peeled off, it's much easier. But you may not have that option because of the length of your window. So what I like to do is I like to pour the material back using 2 people, slide it up underneath, and then lay your material on. Items like this, experience really plays a key into installing around obstacles. we come back, we press our edges. And we come back through and we lay out the material again. Now, if I push too hard with my scraper, I will scrape the image, as you can see right here. I scrape the image. If I use a corner, I can mar the image and scrape it up. So, again, we want to be very careful when laying out our material. Now we come to our trim. You have the option, again, you can use an X-Acto knife or you can just use a straight blade, utility knife, whatever works best for you. Let's come into our corner here. Now keep in mind when you're cutting your material, you have a rubber gasket back here or sealer. You do not want to cut that sealer. That's what keeps water from the outside in. So we want to be very careful and cut along that. And use a steady hand. You see I'm not putting a lot of pressure onto the window. I'm just using a very steady hand and drawing down. Then we just peel the material back. And that's the install of our window right here. Again, this is just an example piece of what can be done. Afterwards, if you have a piece that you're moving out of your building or you're changing out GSA vehicles, this material can be easily taken off the windows. You just simply get into a corner, peel up the material, and as you see, it comes right back off. Small residue on the window right here, simply be cleaned off with some glass cleaner or some Gooby Gum.